Hello, and welcome back. This is another fifth grade math video. In this video, we'll be focusing on how to simplify fractions. Okay, here is our first example. We need to simplify the fraction 3 over 6 into what we call lowest terms. What that means is we need to simplify this into an equivalent fraction that uses the smallest numbers possible. And there are two ways to do this. So I'm going to show you both ways with this example. And then for the other examples, I'll probably just go back and forth between the two different ways. So I'm going to write this twice. I'm going to write 3 over 6 here and 3 over 6 here. So I can show you both ways. The first way is to use division. So we can divide both the top and the bottom by the same number, and that will simplify the fraction. So the key is finding a number that I can divide both 3 and 6 by, and it has to be the same number. So I'm going to start thinking about things I can divide 3 by. I can divide 3 by 1, and I can also divide 6 by 1. But when I do that, that's not going to change my fraction at all. So I want to kind of stay away from dividing by 1. But I can also divide 3 by 3. I can also divide 6 by 3 as well. So remember, it has to be divided by the same number on the top and the bottom. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So what that means is that 3 over 6 can be simplified to the equivalent fraction 1/2. And this represents the same amount, but using smaller numbers. Here is another way you can look at it. If finding numbers that you can divide numbers by is difficult, then you can think about multiplication. So when I look at 3, I know I can get 3 by multiplying 1 times 3. I can also get 6 by multiplying 3 times 2. Now, if I list out some factors on the top and some factors for the number on the bottom, and I have the same factor on top and on the bottom, I can eliminate those. So I can eliminate those common factors as long as one's on the top and one's on the bottom. Then I would just rewrite what I have left. So on the top, I have a 1 left, and on the bottom, I have a 2 left. So as you can see, this simplifies to the same number as I got above. So these are both two different ways to simplify fractions. Okay, here is our next example. We're going to simplify the fraction 2 over 6 to its lowest terms or smallest numbers. So I'm going to rewrite 2 over 6 here. For this one, I think I'll show you using the multiplication way. So I know I can multiply 1 times 2 and get 2. So those are my factors of 2. And I know that I can multiply 2 times 3 to get 6. Now I noticed I have a 2 on the top and a 2 on the bottom, which means I can cross those off and eliminate them. So next, I'm just going to write what I have left. I have 1 on top and 3 on the bottom. That's what I have left. So that means 2 over 6 simplifies to 1 over 3. Okay, here's our next example. We're going to simplify 6 over 12 to its lowest terms or simplest numbers. So I'm going to rewrite 6 over 12. Now I have to think about what I can divide 6 by and 12 by. That is the same number if I want to use the division method. So I'm thinking that I can divide 6 by 2 as well as I can divide 2 or 12 by 2. When I do that, 6 divided by 2 leaves me with 3, and 12 divided by 2 leaves me with 6. Okay, so now I have 3 over 6. I can also keep going. So even if you end up using division, doesn't mean it's fully simplified. It's only fully simplified when you're down to the smallest numbers and you can't divide the top and the bottom by the same number anymore. Now up here, we can take 3 and divide it by 3, and we can also divide 6 by 3. So that's how I knew I could keep going. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So this simplifies all the way down to 1/2. Okay, here is our next example. We're going to simplify the fraction 17 over 34 to its simplest terms, 17 over 34. So I'm going to use the division method for this, and I'm going to think about numbers I can divide 17 by. And I can't come up with much because 17 is what we call a prime number, which means the only way to multiply and get that number is to do 1 times 17. But for division, that means I can only divide 17 by 1 or by 17. We've already talked about how dividing by 1 doesn't really help us simplify the fraction. So I'm going to try dividing by 17. Now I just need to check to see if 34 can be divided by 17. So I'm going to come over here and do 34 divided by 17. Another thing you can do is you can also add two 17s together or multiply it by 2 to see what you get, something like that. 7 times 2 is 14. And then 1 times 2 is 2 plus 1 is 3. And that's exactly 34. So that means when I divide 34 by 17, I get 2 left over. That's the other factor. So 17 divided by 17 on the top is 1. This fraction simplifies down to 1/2. Okay, here is our next one and our last one for today's video. We're going to take the fraction 12 over 14 and simplify it. So for this one, I'm going to use the multiplication route. I know that 2 times 6 gives me 12, and I know that 2 times 7 gives me 14. So I have a 2 on the top and a 2 on the bottom. So I'm going to cross those off. And what I have left is 6 on the top and 7 on the bottom. That means 12 over 14 simplifies to 6/7. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you in another video soon.